Welcome back to the Kentucky Kernel News Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Lucas, joined by my co-host, Giana Gallo. Would you like to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
So today we're going to talk to the editor-in-chief of the Kernel, Hannah Stanley, and we are going to talk about KPA, where the Kentucky Kernel won a bunch of awards. And that interview is pretty quick, so we planned another interview for you all, and that's going to be about a story that happened this weekend, a pizza eating contest. So I hope you enjoy, and just a disclaimer, the opinions expressed on this podcast are the speaker's own and do not reflect the opinions of the Kentucky Kernel. All right, let's go. All right, hello, Hannah. Welcome to the Kernel Podcast. Could you just give yourself a quick introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Hannah Stanley, and I am the editor-in-chief of the Kentucky Kernel.
All right, perfect. And then this last week, the Kentucky Kernel won quite a few awards at KPA. So first, I guess, can you explain what KPA is to our listeners? And then can you say about how historic this was, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. So the KPA stands for Kentucky Press Association, and they host an annual conference or convention every single year that we're invited to. And basically, we submit a certain amount of entries per categories, and we're competing against all the newsrooms within the state, and then they're separate into like a collegiate level, national, and like so on. But it's based off of size, and since we're a tier 2 school, so we're within the secondary group of the collegiate level. So we're competing against mostly EKU, WKU, and NKU, who are our main competitors. And then there's some of the smaller schools that still compete. But basically gives us an opportunity to have some different eyes on our stories, getting reviews back on our stories, some critiques, and then take home some awards. And this year is really significant because we won our 6th General Excellent in a row. So that recognizes the entire newsroom based off of a whole bunch of qualifications and recognizing us for investigative writing, sports writing, feature writing, opinions, basically everything you possibly can do within a news organization, and the growth and how much you outshine another university within your category. And we also took home 47 other awards, and those were first, second, and third place awards.
Awesome. And then can you say a little bit more about what goes into general excellence? And then did you hear from like any other advisors, like what was the difference between the Kernel and these other news outlets?
Yeah, so general excellence is basically the best award you can get within the state of Kentucky for your newsroom. And they only give out, there's, I believe, 3 different categories. So like I said, we were in that collegiate level. And that just recognizes every single person in our newsroom for the last year. So we basically like a year behind being recognized for it. So it was like the 2023 year, and then we have it during January of 2024. And it's just going over and recognizing how much work we do, how much coverage, and not just a local level, but even state and nationwide. So it's really just something rewarding for our newsroom to see that we're getting even our 6th in a row, and we've won it a handful of times in the past too, but having just that level of success constantly through our newsroom allows everybody to see that we are really growing and that they are being recognized in a different level. And I did get some commentary from, they give out basically it's like an annual book, and it has all the winners, all the stories, and it critiques you on each one. So basically they just said that like you guys are really in the right direction. You're balancing out the online social side of things, which is what we've really been incorporating through the last year and even more now. And then how much print, general coverage, what else we're doing to just basically reach all the different audiences we can. And I even had some fellow editors from like NKU talk to me about it, and even like my bestie boo Rick over at the Herald Leader, who's their editor-in-chief, congratulated us. So it was super rewarding.
Yeah, I was also at KPA, and there was, there's for real newspapers, not for real, but local newspapers there as well. And a lot of them were complimenting us on how good our multimedia is, which coming from older generations means, I think, a lot more because they were raised as journalists doing print.
Mm-hmm.
My question for you is, did you yourself win any awards?
Yes. So I tied with our former editor-in-chief, really, for first place for our best investigative story, and that was from our work on the farmhouse fraternity that we mentioned in one of the first podcasts that I was on with you all. And then I got a third place for a video I actually did when we were covering the Kyler Spring and Sophia Rosing March that was happening on campus. And then there was a handful of staff awards, actually more than a handful, that I was a part of, but that recognizes if there's 3 or more people on the entry or on the stories or multimedia, whatever it is, it's just recognized as a staff award. So I was also a part of those as well.
Mm-hmm. What makes KPA so special to you, or besides winning awards and being with everybody on this team, what do you take away the most from KPA?
I look at it in a different lens when we go to a national convention, basically because it's really isolating us into a certain demographic of just Kentucky. And a lot of the times people won't see how many news outlets there even are in the state of Kentucky, and to see that we're being recognized from not just collegiate level, but huge names like the Herald Leader, like they recognize us and they're telling us how good we're doing. And it just really puts into perspective that we're not the only ones seeing our stories, but all these other news outlets are. They're all encouraging us. They want us young journalists to keep going and finding like the local journalism that a lot of these companies are doing. And then there's the city, and there's so many different angles that they can take within journalism. And I think it's good to look at it on a smaller angle than when we go to these big national conventions and you're almost overwhelmed with how many people are there, and you don't really get that chance to build the connections within the actual state that you're writing for.
Mm-hmm.
How's the food there?
It's not great. I didn't eat it. Last year I got food poisoning.
Oh, man.
If you're seeing this, KPA, don't get mad at me, but I did get food poisoning last year, so I did not eat it.
And that was here, right?
Yeah, I was in Lexington.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, so I got Chick-fil-A for lunch.
Who was it
The
catered
warm
by?
cheesecake was really good.
Oh.
Was it room
Awesome.
temperature? Or
It was warm. I've never had warm cheesecake, but hey, recommend it. Strawberry warm cheesecake, my favorite.
There you go.
Yeah. So, was there any opportunity for like learning sessions at KPA?
Yeah,
You all went to a
absolutely.
couple?
Yeah,
Okay.
so the first, I wouldn't even say half, majority of the day
Yeah.
you're there from 9, 10 a.m. until the dinner and awards ceremony that's around 7.
Yeah.
And it's a bunch of small journalists. We even had somebody who's from University of Kentucky speaking. And they have like an hour-ish, hour and a half sessions where they can be them just talking, or it's like interactive and you guys get to learn about what other people are doing. And actually during one of our sessions, we had 2 of our SPJ representatives there, and during one of their sessions, they were asking us more questions, and even the other news outlets there who have been going for way longer than we have and have a smaller following but wanting to grow in the way that we are. We answered probably about 15 to 20 minutes of questions asking about our multimedia coverage and like how we're trying to shift things over from the different print levels to where we were last year every week. And it was nice that we could also give them something, and it wasn't just us looking at them to give us questions, because a lot's evolving into the digital age, or as Ryan Craig says, the convergence. So it was nice to be able to give that back to them and then learn more of the print and the long-term history that they've experienced.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about it right now. It's probably very impressive for them that it's like the Kernel is a ever-evolving thing.
Mm-hmm.
We change out staff every single year because people graduate and stuff. So I've got to think that they see it as like these are new ideas of journalists that are going into the foray, that are going into the world. Yeah, I just thought about that. It's interesting.
Some people
to
don't
think
like it. I will say that's the hard thing too with a lot of local and rural journalism. They don't have the people or the technology or even the budget to be able to do half of the stuff we're doing. So it's really hard for them to see how much we're excelling, and they're stuck in financial struggles, and that's why they can't even do that, or they're just not getting people hired. So it's also a really good way to have our staff see that there's local journalism, and that honestly I think every single person should at least do one job within local journalism to see how much is still there, and you don't need to go to the big, expensive city newspapers wherever you want to go, because they need just as much help as a city paper would too.
Yeah. This is more forward thinking, but you said KPA is a yearly thing, so we're kind of you celebrated the past year in January 2024. Now moving forward, what are your goals or things you want to do differently for this upcoming year for 2025 KPA?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually didn't even qualify for some categories just based off of things we haven't really focused on as much or didn't have the staff, similar struggles they've seen. So I really want us to keep working in the spots where there's literal holes that we are just not doing coverage. And some of that stuff comes with columns, opinions, editorials, feature writing. And that's something we see through a lot of our different conventions that we go to where we have to submit to a very specific tailored category and we just aren't really thinking about it. So I really want us to focus on, yes, we're doing all these great things and we already are doing our investigative writing, our sports writing, like that's super great, but now incorporating like all the multimedia we're doing and even like the video and digital side of things that we haven't been able to qualify and put in yet. So that's something I really want to see even after I graduate, that it's carried on through and that it's something we can even compete in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's it for my questions.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, do you want to say anything else? Do you want to talk anything else about KPA?
I would just say that it's a great learning experience. It's nice to be able to go somewhere local. I mean, we went to Bowling Green, and I think the furthest we ever went actually probably was Bowling Green. So it's nice to have our newsroom come together and bring some of our newer writers and just staffers to see that there's so much more out there and that all these people want to help and that they need even your help. So I just encourage everybody to always take that opportunity if somebody invites you something, even if you're not going to win the award or you're just not the most comfortable, to just take that step out, because if you're going to try and find a career in this profession, you need to start building the connections, and this is a great way to start doing that.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
To come on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hannah.
Of course.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. All right, welcome back to the Kentucky Kernel Podcast. We're here for our second interview of this episode. Would you like to introduce yourself really quick?
Yes. Hi, my name is Aimee. I'm a freshman here at UK. I'm originally from Oregon, but 3 years ago I moved to Kentucky, and I'm a broadcasting journalism major.
Perfect. So how do you like Kentucky?
I love it. See, we moved here because, okay, it's hard to explain, but I was born in Oregon. When I was like 5, we moved to Kentucky, and then when I was 9, we moved back to Kentucky, Oregon, and then 3 years ago I moved back. So I'm like, I don't really understand which one I would call home, but we moved here because of horses, so I like horses.
Yeah,
I'm like
awesome.
not a horse girl, okay? I'm not a horse girl, but I like it a lot. It's a lot calmer than like what I'm used to. I'm from like Portland, so I'm used to bigger cities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So can you explain to me kind of a little bit of what you did this weekend?
Yeah, so this weekend I did a piece on Mere Twin Brewing, which is a local brewing place here in Lexington, and they had their second annual pizza eating contest. So they have a partner that isn't necessarily with the brewing, but it's kind of like right there on property kind of food place, and it's called Rolling Oven, and I think there was about 25 pizzas, and they had like 20 something contestants, or maybe around like a good amount of number, and you had 8 minutes to eat as many slices of pizza that you could.
Wow.
Which was kind of crazy. It was fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Really fun to watch. I don't think I could do that myself though.
What kind of pizzas were they? Just thin crust? What toppings did they have? Cheese?
I think they were all cheese, and it was pretty
Gotcha.
like your standard pizza, like pretty thin, I think. So
Mhm.
like not thick or anything, just kind of like are like kind of newer, like the newer places have like just like basic pizza, and that's what it was.
Okay. And so was this like a competition? Could you win?
Yes. It was a competition. The person who won, so it was kind of funny because there were 2 people that this one girl was like not eating the like the ends of the pizza, you know, like the
Okay.
pizza crust, so it was like a tie, and then he was like, "Wait, I have 15 pieces." I don't remember the number, but it was like 15 kind of like 1.5 pies, and he was like, wait, so do I win? And then he realized he won. So it was a big competition. People had different kind of things they were doing in order. The person who won said that he hadn't eaten since like 3 p.m. the day beforehand. So
Oh, wow.
people were
yeah.
pretty competitive.
What was the atmosphere like going in? Were people pretty competitive, obviously? I know that kind of answers your question, but or were people kind of taking this competition as more fun and just eating pizza?
I think it was more fun in eating pizza. A lot of the people that were going have either been there a couple times or they're regulars, and they enjoyed the food and they enjoyed the drinks. And it was kind of like it was $10 to eat as much pizza as you could, and you got like a free drink. So a lot of people were enticed by that and just wanted something fun to do on a Saturday.
Nice.
So I know this was your first story. So what was it like doing your first story, I guess?
I was really, really nervous. So I didn't do it last semester because I'm in a sorority, so like I have everything on Mondays, so it was kind of hard to go to meetings.
Yeah.
But I talked to Alexis beforehand because I was like in journalism 101 and I knew I wanted to get involved. But I've done it before. See, I'm from Shelbyville, so they filmed some of like Ethan Hawke and Steve Zahn's new movie there, and so I actually interviewed Steve Zahn, but I was more nervous for this piece than I was to interview him, just because of like, oh, it's like a student publication. It's not like something people from my high school would just see. So I was really nervous. But I think overall it was okay. So
Yeah.
Would you ever consider joining the pizza eating contest?
Yes, I think I would. Even though I do have like a little gluten intolerance, and I also
It's worth though.
It's worth it, and I like pizza, but this is really bad. Maybe, but I am not a big cheese person. So like when I start eating pizza, sometimes I'll take off the cheese, and people think I'm crazy, which I probably am. So I don't know how well I would actually do in the contest. I probably get over it, and people said their jaws were hurting.
Oh.
Oh,
And
wow.
I feel like I would be in pain. Or one person, they had water, and they would dip their pizza in the water, and I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, that's what they do at Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Don't you participate in that? Or
And
what?
that,
What did Bryce, the TikTok guy, said you did a
I did do an
competition?
eating contest. Yeah,
For
I did.
what?
It was for a sorority about a year and a half ago, and it was eat 5 hot dogs as fast as you can, and I won. I ate 5 hot dogs in 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
Wow, including the bun, like full
Yeah,
hot
including
dog.
the bun, the
Wow.
full hot dog. And I won because I used the water method. I was very hungry that day. I think I ate like 3 eggs for breakfast, and that was like it or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
But-
feel like that grosses me out. If a person dips food in water, I mean, I get it for competitions. That's the
Yeah.
way to go.
I'm pretty sure what I was
But-
doing was I would separate them. I would eat the hot dog itself, and then I would dip the bun in the water and then eat it.
That makes me so
Yeah, I
sick
can see
thinking
you
about
grossed
it. I'm not
out.
gonna lie.
But yeah, I won. I got a $100 gift card too.
Hey.
But it didn't work.
Oh.
Yeah, so I just got bragging rights after that. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Hey, that's something to put on your resume.
Yeah, sure.
Pizza. No, hot dog. You need one.
Yeah, and whenever an interviewer asks me what's a time that you faced adversity, that's the first instance that I
And
bring
do
up.
I have a story for you?
Yeah. Well, do we have any other questions for Aimee?
What is your favorite kind of pizza?
I love margarita pizza because it's not a lot of cheese, but it's a good amount. And I don't know why. I really like it. Like the mozzarella, the tomatoes, a little bit of basil. It's my favorite. I'm pretty simple when it comes to stuff like that.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say congratulations on your first story.
Thank you.
I mean, it takes a lot. I feel like that's a big hill to climb.
Yes. It only gets easier from here.
Yeah, and good luck with the rest of your endeavors covering stuff for the Kentucky Kernel. It's a lot of fun
Thank
here.
you.
But I think that's all we got for you. So thanks for coming on today.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Hello and welcome back to Scoops Out of the Litter, where we tell you what you need to know that's in the news at the local level, the state level, and the national level as a college student, what you need to know as a college student. So let's get it started today with our local level, I guess. Do you want to talk about your favorite story this week?
I do. And boy, do I have a story for you because I can heavily relate to this. So I figured it was good for our viewers to know this. A recent article from the Kentucky Kernel just came out, opinion piece, entitled Why Preteens Should Stop Buying Stuff from Sephora. And this article was very well written by one of our reporters and basically goes very into detail about how 12-year-olds, girls mainly, you know, I remember growing up, that was the time that I was experimenting with makeup and, you know, oh my God, it's so fun and cutesy and la la la. But it was mascara and maybe, you know, blush.
Okay.
It was not $50 of a serum of anti-aging moisturizer. These 12-year-olds that I believe are in the Gen Alpha generation go into Sephora, and Sephora is a pretty pricey store, makeup store, and they are buying, again, a $50 little tube of anti-aging serum. So, this article is very interesting to me because I often look at this newer generation and it's just very interesting how they're growing up because I feel like we are like the first wave of kids growing up with social media, but I feel like you really can see the effects of it with this generation. So hypothetically, if you were to have children, just children, would you allow them to buy $50 worth of anti-aging serum for a 12-year-old?
I don't know. I would have to think about that for a second. I know I'm probably not going to give my kid a phone until middle school.
Right.
That's how it was for me, so that's how it's going to be for them. But,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I would be worried about, like, the chemicals in there, I guess. But I'm thinking, like, this is a product of the get ready with me, like, trend that's going on right now. And I have to think it's just girls that want to... Girls have always wanted to be older.
Yes. Yes.
Like, I don't think that's sexist to say.
No, yeah. And I mean, women are naturally more mature than men. So I totally see that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's so interesting to me to see 12-year-old me compared to 12-year-old newer generation because I was not buying $50 worth of one little makeup thing. And, I mean, I don't think 12-year-olds have that much money. I did not have that much money to buy. I was buying Zuzu Pets. Like, I was not buying anti-aging serum. I don't know. What do you feel like are the effects of social media for kids nowadays?
Well, I think it's just like a lot of brain rot, I guess. But I think it's just like concepts that we've seen before, but it's just amplified a lot more.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, like girls wanting to be older. And boys, I guess, just doing boy stuff. I don't know. Like being stupid.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of boys YouTubers who are like stupid
Mm-hmm.
and like streamers especially who just like do stupid stuff that they're like testing the limits of society like
Right.
by being annoying.
Right.
They're like going into a Walmart and being like annoying.
Mm-hmm. No, I can totally see that.
Sorry. I said a lot
But-
of likes and there.
I would definitely check out our opinion section on Kentucky Kernel because all of the pieces are very well done and they make you think a lot because I just recently saw a 12-year-old on my TikTok getting a little get ready with me and I was just kind of appalled by, again, that is something I did not do growing up and it's just such a interesting difference to see generations. But definitely check out the opinion section to read more about this article and anything else that you might want to reflect on.
Yeah, our opinions desk has really been churning it out lately.
They have.
I feel like it's every other day I go on there and there's a new one. So
Yeah.
they've got a lot of opinions and they write a lot. So
Yes.
yeah, go look at them. For our state story, I'm sorry I don't have this pulled up in front of me, but there was a record organ donation this year for the state of Kentucky. I believe it saved around 700 people's lives
That's incredible.
through organ donation this year. So just a quick shout out to Kentucky, I guess.
Yeah. Are you an organ donor?
I think I have it marked on my license.
Yeah. I think
I don't know.
I am too. I remember
Mhm.
when I went to the DMV and they asked me that question, I was like, wait, what? Well, because I didn't understand. Then I was like, oh,
Mm.
I'm 16 and making this decision. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's a good record, I feel like, for Kentucky. So
hmm Yeah, that's good stuff for sure.
mhm.
Yeah, that decision kind of feels like when you have to sign up to be drafted.
Yes.
That feels like the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Like both of those things are so unlikely to happen.
Right.
Like you dying and you going to war, like having to be drafted.
hmm
But you're like, oh shit, like, oh whoops, I cursed, my bad. It's like, oh my gosh, like this is really deep.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is a really big decision.
I
It's
know.
not very big. But
It's not very big. No, again, when I remember getting asked that question, I was like, wait, why do I feel like this is life and death right now?
yeah,
Feel like I'm choosing my path in life, but
yeah, seriously.
yeah, it's a little bit intimidating for a 16-year-old to make that decision.
And then for our national story, we're also going to be talking about life and death because an
Mhm.
Alabama inmate was just executed using a completely new way of death penalty with nitrogen gas.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
saw the image on the article, and it just, I don't know, it just freaks me out personally. Maybe because of movies that I've watched. It's just so like eerie to look at because the room is just so bare. And it reminds me of something like in a Batman movie almost. I don't
Okay,
know.
That makes sense.
With like the Joker's laughing gas. It's not a good comparison at all, but
hmm
I don't really know my opinions on this, to be honest.
hmm
I will be very curious if more states will pass this, or if they'll just continue, because isn't it lethal injection?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
lethal injection, but the drugs cost so much money and they're hard to
Oh.
find that they're trying to change it to nitrogen gas.
Got
But
it.
the thing with that is detractors say it is cruel and unusual punishment because, of course, that's in the Constitution. So,
Right.
Um,
What are your thoughts on this?
yeah, so just a quick recap on this guy's death. He had an oxygen mask on and they pumped nitrogen gas in there. I believe his heart didn't stop until about 28 minutes in. But I believe he went unconscious at about 18 minutes. But he was still struggling while unconscious. So they just pumped the nitrogen gas in until you can't breathe oxygen anymore. But I think that for the death penalty, for me, it's not about like how they die. I know
Mhm.
that there's cruel and unusual
Mhm.
punishment. For me, it's about the government being able to control who dies.
Yes,
I think that's a bigger deal for me.
I agree.
Because I think the statistic is like 1 in 20 inmates on death row didn't actually commit the crime. So even with a 5% chance of killing somebody who didn't commit a really heinous crime, like that still shouldn't happen. And this Alabama guy, it's not that he was a mass murderer or anything.
Mhm.
He was just a hitman. I see that in a lot of cases
Oh.
that these hitmen get death penalties because I guess the judge is like, you can't put a price on a human life, so we're going to take your life, I guess.
Oh,
But I see that with a lot of cases that have
Yeah,
the death
yeah.
penalty, is that they were hired hitmen. But I feel like that is just kind of preying on people who might not have enough money to survive in the
yeah.
first place, like they're driven to
Mhm.
kill somebody. Because people are driven to steal and rob other people because, they don't have the goods that they need
Right.
to
right.
survive. So yeah, I don't think the government should have the ability to kill people that they don't like.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what the death penalty in my mind does, because once we start using the death penalty for so many people, then the government's like, oh, okay, so let's use it for this protester.
Right. I
Mhm.
agree with you. I don't really like how easily we're using this method.
Mhm.
It's not, oh, you're going to spend 5 years, 10 years, life, whatever the possible verdict might be it's just straight to death. That kind of doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah. I mean, these guys get a long time on death row, so they can appeal it, and there's definitely been people in history who've been taken off of it before and who have been exonerated. But, yeah, it's still, like, a scary thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know. There's really no way to quantify who deserves the death penalty. Obviously, in cases of mass murderers and I want to say school shooters, but I mean they're still minors when that's happened.
Right.
In some cases, it's obviously cut and dry, but in cases with hitmen, especially, I feel like, we can give this guy another shot, or we can keep this guy in prison. And anyways, they did the nitrogen thing because the lethal injection is so expensive. That's more expensive than keeping him in prison.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more expensive than keeping him in prison, which is so crazy to think about. Like, basically, like a pet that's a human is what being in prison is. Like, and it costs more to friggin' do the lethal injection to kill him. Right. It's wild.
I did not know it was that expensive. That's insane.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I wonder what they did with like the person who killed them, like if they had him press a button that started that, and they like don't know what button, like it's 3 guys who press a button, and which they don't know which button starts it.
Yeah, because isn't it with lethal injection like it's a glass and like people can watch?
Oh yeah, you can watch an execution.
That's insane. Yeah,
but you have to be approved to
watch
it.
Of course. Yeah, I am interested to see if there's a watching area or whatever you call it for the nitrogen.
Well, I think so, because I mean, how else would we gotten the report that he suffered?
Very true.
But yeah, it's just something to think about.
It is,
I guess.
Very interesting.
I think that's about it for the show. We're done with all our stories, so thank you all so much for listening. I hope that you all enjoyed KPA and also talked about the eating contest.
Yeah, get some pizza tonight.
Yeah, that would be a fun thing. I got a coupon for Mellow Mushroom. I might go and use it. Yeah. So, but thank you all for listening so much, and outro song.